So the professor pulls a vanishing act, and I'm not sure which line is more indicative of how the series is going to go. You don't know what you brought here. Finish what you started, or the party is well and truly over. Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing Gotham, Episode 11, Queen Takes Night. And basically, we have a little bit of a mystery on our hands. Although, we also have a lot going on with the whole Bruce Wayne persona. With the difference between exactly how real people handle stress and trauma, and how comic book characters deal with stress and trauma. Yeah, can I buy a vowel tonight? We have something in between in Gotham. Something a little bit on the edge of reality. And I think that's where Batman does best, on the edge of reality. For those of you that don't know, what I do here is I review and critique stories, but then I also take them apart to figure out why we tell them and how we tell them. If that sounds interesting to you, click subscribe, because coming up soon I'm going to be giving away a free Amazon gift card to one of my subscribers. More than ever, it feels like the shadow of Ra's al Ghul has fallen across Gotham. Proto-Batman has given way to Proto-Bruce Wayne. And you know what? It comes down to the whole, who is he really under the mask, and we'll get into that. But of course, it all starts with a pig murder. Gotham's a pretty creepy place, a dark place, and one where, like Falcone says during the episode, maybe you won't be so happy with what you bring. And of course, we know where Gotham's heading, what it's going to take. But let's get into spoilers. So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time. Queen Takes Night is another example of them using the whole chess master thing. And again, Sophia Falcone has planned this out a little too perfectly. I'm not exactly 100% on board, although I do like the fact that in order to push it, she had to sacrifice her father. And of course, the key to all of this is Penguin, and the fact that he has a hole in his mindset and how he works with things. He does have a weakness or two still. Even in the comics, Penguin isn't exactly the greatest mastermind. You can poke holes in his plan. And as the night is dawning, well, he's still playing a little out of his league. But pretty soon he's going to be in a league of his own. Falcone pretty much masterminded all of this, got her father to come back just to kill him. And of course, that's going to make Gordon into the real villain of all this, because this was all Gordon's doing. They weren't wrong when they said, hey, you started this. So I want to talk a little bit about what his plan was. His plan was for Falcone to come back and unseat Penguin, and then have a more ruly underworld of Gotham. Penguin's idea was for him to rule himself, and for him to have his own way. Which really means that, if you think about it, Jim and him could have worked together. Although, not that I would have advised it. Of course, all of this is also got some wild cards in there. Specifically, everyone was curious where Zsasz was going to fall. And of course, then there's the Gotham City Sirens. And all of this is backdropped to a city that's on the verge of chaos. And by the halfway point of the episode, it looks like the Sirens plus Falcone have what they want. They have control of the city. They've got Penguin arrested by GCPD. And, of course, when things are that tightly wrapped up by the halfway point, you know what's coming next, right? First, we need to pass into the B story, though, which is really kind of the A story in my mind, because it's the one that's most important. Yeah, there's some messed up female thoughts when it comes to Gotham and Batman in general. But right now in the comics, Batman just had one of the greatest issues ever written. And it's all about him and Catwoman getting engaged. But this is more about the persona of Bruce Wayne. And like I said up top, this is more about how people really deal with pain and stress. The playboy billionaire just makes perfect sense when you think about it. The guy who hides away from his problems in alcohol and cheap booze and cheap women. And it doesn't have to be cheap because, you know, he's a multi-billionaire, so he could be dating supermodels. In fact, he does date supermodels. And he even says it in the episode. Alfred, do you know how much I've thought about Roz or my father or my parents while I've been out clubbing and doing all this? Not at all. But Alfred puts it even in better perspective. I can see that you're miserable. I know that you are. Because this isn't you. This isn't the you want to be. And this is what we need from an Alfred Pennyworth. And what doesn't exactly always work in the movie. Because, you see, we need an Alfred that can stand toe-to-toe with Bruce. One who can sit there and say, hey, look, I know what's going on, but I want to keep you safe. You're my family, and we're going to do this together. And yeah, sometimes that means hard love, and that's what we got tonight, as the two of them got into a friggin' fist fight, and we were reminded that this Alfred Pennyworth kicks butt. But I've kind of lost track of my thesis here. How do we handle pain and suffering? How do we handle loss? How do we handle stress? Well, for some of us, we hide away, and we put on a happy face in order to try to get through it. And that happy face works, at least to a certain extent. You know what they say, fake it till you make it. But the through line of the entire episode is basically what we look for and how we get back what we lost. And you know what? I think Bruce is starting to dawn on him at the end in that party. But what he lost is his butler and his best friend. But of course, he's not alone in having lost things. Falcone thinks that she's on top right now, and I will admit, she's got quite the advantages. She's pretty much consolidated everything, and Penguin himself is out of the picture. Last we saw of him was in Arkham Asylum with a surprise visit from the Joker. Sorry, Jerome. The pig was working for her all along. When he came sauntering in, it all clicked into my place that we didn't have two chess masters as villains this year. We had one chess master and a pawn that we thought was a player. Interesting way to go. Now, of course, there was also the C plot of the episode. Solomon Grundy, and him getting his memories back. I said from the beginning I was curious to see whether or not this was going to be Butch and Grundy or just Grundy. But we also have the little Riddler moment where Riddler's, I guess, in love with... Yeah, you know, I don't really get crazy Riddler as much as evil, smart Riddler, so I don't know. There was a lot going on and a lot that needs to go into a wrap-up episode of mine. But Ra's al Ghul and that bit of light that he gave Barbara still intrigues me. What about you guys? What plot thread that was left over do you most want to see worked on? Do you think that this is a good start to Batman? Do you think that this is a new origin? Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you enjoyed my insane ramblings, click that thumbs up and like and share this video. And if you haven't already, click the subscribe button. What I want to do here is build a whole community where we can talk about these stories. And this one really intrigued me tonight. I'm going to take some time and dissect the entire season, and then I'll come back next week and we'll talk about it in a wrap-up episode. If anyone leaves cool comments, well, maybe I'll address them. Let's see what goes on. For now, I hope you have a good night, and thank you for walking with me through the heart of the stories we tell.